All right, after a Sunday off, the Houston Texans are back at work for day 11 of training camp over at the Houston Methodist Training Center. It's finally game week as the preseason is just a few days underway. We've got the Green Bay Packers up first for the Houston Texans on Saturday night. And there you see it, the Texans warming up. Quarterback Jeff Driscoll along with the offense getting ready to take some snaps. They're in full pads. And Saturday night was a lot of fun, Drew. I welcome in Drew Doherty, my co-host.
It sure was.
Well.
It's good to be back, DP. Saturday night, a little cooler, a little different. It was one of those instances where David Culley and company were trying to get these guys in more of a situation that they'll see on Saturday night. Now, that doesn't compare to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, but it was a night practice. There were louder fans, more fans in attendance. It was a good time to see them going, and I don't know about you. I'm glad that we're here at a game week because you've kind of had gotten to the doldrums, the dog days of training camp over the last week or so. But now you get to focus and get ready for seeing what these guys can do against another NFL team. Yeah,
David Culley actually addressed the media before practice today, talked about the importance of these preseason games because, as you remember, last year there were no preseason games. Yep. And in a year like this where the Texans have so many new players, many of them not new to the NFL, they're obviously veterans from around the league, but just to see them together in this offense and this defense, to give them some live game action is going to be really important, especially because this is one of the rare years, Drew, that the Texans didn't hold any joint practices against another team. So their first real action against players other than ones in Texans uniforms is going to come on Saturday night when they face the Green Bay Packers. And from everything that David Culley had said this morning, it sounds like everyone's going to get reps. It's competition at every single position.
Yeah, see how much the starters, the presumed starters will actually get, but he's saying they're all going to play. And he also did talk about why the Texans didn't practice against another team this year, and he said there's so many new faces on his that they had to kind of see what the own personnel had. So maybe next year you might see the Texans return to going against another team or two. That's what we got accustomed to in between 2014 and 2019. Texans routinely practiced against about two teams per training camp, sometimes just one, and they almost always went away to do so for a spell. So we'll see if that continues like it did in the past, but it obviously stopped last year during COVID, and it's not going on this year. But guys are out there this morning. You look at Davis Mills, the rookie QB. We're going to take your questions if you want to send some in. Please let us know from where you're sending them, and then fire away. We love to answer them. But Buddy Howell is out at practice again today. He had been out, but he had the pads on, and he's excited to go, and that's him, number 8 there, getting some work in. Buddy Howell, of course, had some brief shots as a running back in the season and last year, and he's really been a special teams standout the last few years. And yes, also Deshaun Watson is at practice. He is in full pads, is in uniform after missing a few last week.
Yeah, it's a crowded running backs room. It's a crowded quarterbacks field. Not sure how much Deshaun's going to do out there at practice today. Obviously, he was out most of last week, I believe, and didn't come out to practice when the full pads were on. So this will be the first day with him in full pads. We'll see how much he does today as practice unfolds and gets underway. But as we see the offense warming up, Drew, it wasn't smooth sailing. It wasn't all smooth sailing, I should say, for Saturday night. David Culley was not pleased with the pre-snap penalties that were taking place, and it was something that he was frustrated with leading up to Saturday night's practice. But with the refs out at practice, those pre-snap penalties and flags were getting thrown because the refs were calling them, and he said that's something that was just unacceptable. That was probably the most fired up I've seen Culley in a presser, and he seemed really agitated that was happening, and he said that even one time is one time too many. So I'm curious to see this week. I'm not sure if the refs are out there this week. They may not be, but as they head into game week and as they head into play the Green Bay Packers, what do those pre-snap penalties look like? Do they get them knocked out? Are they still working on them? How does that improve? But it's definitely something they've been harping on.
Yeah, those can be daggers when they happen in a game. And, he was, like you said, fired up about it. And I think that sort of surprised a few people, the fact that he was fired up because, David Culley is a very upbeat individual, very optimistic individual. But there, I think, is in some circles this idea that he's just this nice guy and he's kind of survived in the NFL for a few decades because he's a nice guy and everybody loves him. Well, yeah, he is, but you're gonna have to get on some people and you're gonna get fired up and light into guys if you're a head coach in the NFL. And he did that the other night, and they responded to a degree. You saw Chris Conley speaking with the media after practice, and he said, "Yeah, I jumped offside and he lit me up, and it was a lot like when I was a rookie in Kansas City, and he was my position coach, and I dropped a couple passes in a game, and he benched me." So they understand that's part of the business, that's part of the game. So yes, he is an exciting guy, an optimistic guy, but he's going to get mad at people from time to time.
There is number 36, Jonathan Owens, and I wonder if his famous girlfriend Simone Biles is out at practice today. I think she is. She's been out there for the past few days, which has been a lot of fun as well because, the Olympics just wrapped up yesterday, and Jonathan Owens making a name for himself. A great story as well, as he tries out for this team, and he's been with this team. He was on the practice squad last year, got elevated to the active roster before week 5, and now he's out there with a pretty new defense and defensive coordinator Lovie Smith. So here come the guys as the defense comes on the field and they're warming up. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to have a one-on-one with Lonnie Johnson. He wears a new number this year, number 1. He says it's bringing him some luck in camp. I'll get a chance to ask him about that as well.
Nice. All right, we got people watching in Germany. The German Texan is checking us out today. Thank you very much. Also out at practice today, DP, Reggie and Kevin. They won tickets here on the Training Camp Live show, so thank you to them for coming on out. Hope you're having a fun time. Shout out to both of you. Like we said, we'll answer your questions. Andy has one, and Andy wants to know about somebody who's just pretty reliable and has been solid here for a long time, it seems. And I say a long time, but it's really just 4 or 5 years. But Zach Cunningham, the linebacker, is going to be definitely one of the leaders on this defense. You were asked a couple days ago, hey, who do you think the defensive captains will be? And I think Cunningham and Justin Reed are 2 default answers that you can't go wrong with. Now, whether it actually happens, we'll see. But they're guys, as they focus in, you see Justin Reed there next to, I can't tell who that is, number 28, it looks like, or 23, excuse me, that's Eric Murray. So, yeah, Eric Murray, number 23, Justin Reed, number 20, they're getting loose. But Zach Cunningham, back to the original question, is doing just fine. He is one of the leaders on this defense, and also number 25, Desmond King, is somebody that I'm going to talk with today after practice. But Cunningham is having a good camp so far, and he's going to be somebody that the Texans lean on to play well this year and to lead this defense.
These linebackers are really enjoying playing in this defense. It's a very linebacker-friendly defense. Even Lovie Smith says it, and so a lot's going to be asked of Zach Cunningham. The other linebackers really impressed with Zach Cunningham's athleticism, what he brings. I mean, we've obviously seen what he's done on the field, so he wants to get even better this year. He was talking to the media the other day, and I think the arrow is still pointing high for Zach Cunningham, especially because last year was such a struggle, and maybe with the new scheme and working in Lovie Smith's defense. Lovie Smith's linebackers have done so well under him in the past, so I'm excited to see what Zach Cunningham, how he improves this season.
JC wants to know, what home and away game are y'all looking forward to the most? Home game, always the first one for me. Jacksonville, it's going to be fun.
Oh, you took my answer, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I do. I steal thunder. Jacksonville will be here week 1. You presume against a rookie quarterback, probably going to be the best rookie quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. You got a shot, so let's see what they can do against the Jaguars. And then on the road, Miami's always a fun trip.
Took my other answer.
Love the Dolphins, so let's see what's going on there.
I think that we've had such bad luck against the Dolphins in
just once.
Just the one time, and that was the only time that I had been to Miami. So I would like to redo that. All right, you know what? I'm excited that we have a Halloween game this year, so I'm going to go under the radar. So we've got a Halloween game. I'm looking forward to that against LA this year. So the Chargers or the Rams? The Chargers.
One of the two.
It's
yeah.
one of the two. It's an LA team. Obviously, I care a lot. I just care that it's Halloween, and I'm already working on my Halloween costume. But I agree with you, Drew. I think week 1 against Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I clearly focused on week 1 because it's very hard to see beyond that. It seems like it's so far away, but now that the preseason's getting underway, it seems like it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, as we keep looking at number 20, one of the evil twins, Justin Reed, his other evil twin is Lonnie Johnson. You got a chance to talk with Lonnie the other night. Lonnie had a pick in that Saturday night. You can't call it a scrimmage, but they were basically scrimmaging, so let's just go ahead and say it. We'll get it out there. But they were working against each other, had a pick. The whole team came over and celebrated with him defensively. They were really excited for him. He's a physical guy, Lonnie Johnson, and gets people going. It was a pretty fun conversation you had, wouldn't you say?
It was. Let's take a look at that little interview that I had with Lonnie Johnson from Saturday night.
It's the Deep Slant 101 presented by Xfinity. My guest tonight, Lonnie Johnson, safety, entering year 3. Lonnie, first of all, it's a night practice. Super exciting. You had a pick tonight. So how has camp been going for you so far? How do you like these night practices?
Oh, I love the night practices. I mean, it's dark out here. I love wearing all black anyway, so I don't know. I mean, I just love the night practice. It's the heat. It's not that much heat out here. Got a little shade, so it's good.
You seem to have a lot of luck at night, too, because you're wearing the new number 1. You got a pick in practice today. First of all, I got to say I like the new number 1 for you. So how's it feel to wear this new number?
Man, it feel good to know that a Hall of Famer had this number first, and then wearing it now. I think that's probably why I keep getting, like, the interceptions and, like, having fun with it. It's just a lot of plays, a lot of good plays coming my way this year, and I think it's because of the number change, the fresh start.
We get asked about you a lot from fans. You're entering year 3. You've played safety now. You played safety last year. How comfortable do you feel in this position? I know last year was sort of a weird offseason, but this offseason you had camp. You started a little bit late, but now you're sort of getting back into the swing of things. And how do you feel back out there with Justin Reed again?
Man, it feel good. That's my evil twin, man. Y'all already know how that goes. That's just it feel good to be back.
How is it working with Lovie Smith and learning from him, a guy that's been in the league for so many years? How exciting is it to work for him? And what do you really like about being in this defense?
That I'm able to play fast. I'm able to react. It's real simple for me to learn. It wasn't that hard. Like I said, I was just locked in when I was out. So when I came back, it was just easy to just pick up right where I left off. And as you can see, the defense working for me, and I love it. So I'm having fun with it.
Is that one of the things you want to work on during the season, just playing more instinctively?
Yeah, just playing more instinctively and just being overall safety. Last year was a switch for me. So this time around, like having the offseason to prepare and preparing my mind mentally, that was the biggest part of the game. The game is more mental than physical. So I was just doing that this offseason for sure.
All right, this offseason you're pretty busy. You got married as well, so congratulations on that. Any other exciting things that happened to you this offseason?
Other than having my child,
wedding?
I got another child, my daughter, Lonnie. She's 8 months. But other than that, just my wedding, getting married, and my kids. That's it.
That sounds like plenty. Lonnie, looking forward to seeing you the rest of the season. Have a great rest of camp.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Lonnie Johnson wearing number 1, had a new baby this offseason, got married this offseason, got a new number this season, so he's got a lot to look forward to. He thinks that the 1 is bringing him luck, Drew, and I hope it does. We saw him get the pick, like you mentioned, in practice, but seeing him out there with evil twin Justin Reed, he said that this year he feels more comfortable at the safety position. Last year was sort of his first year acclimating to it. And, I'm excited to see what he does out there. We had a question on the bridge, who wore it best, Toro or Lonnie, the number 1? And before the interview started, I asked Lonnie if he voted in that. He said, well, of course he did.
Well, no shock. Yeah, Lonnie's a confident guy, and you need to be if you're a defensive back in the NFL.
And
you need to be if you're an NFL player. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he's had such an odd career, if you think about it. Drafted, and he's a rookie cornerback and plays quite a bit. Then COVID happens the next season, his second year, and he gets position switched. And on top of that, he had been studying the whole offseason, like you mentioned earlier a couple days ago.
Cornerback.
At corner. So midstream almost, he's learning a new position. And now he's had a full offseason. He's kind of been in the building like you've talked about, picking it up. So let's see how the progress happens because, sometimes cornerbacks are able to transition to safety because they've got a little bit of extra speed and all that stuff, and he's never been afraid to hit. He's bigger. So it's something that we've heard could be a possibility for the last couple of years, and let's hope it works out and he can sail on at the back end of that defense and really be an evil twin with Justin Reed and Eric Murray and all those guys. So, yeah, good stuff looking there. Halston has a question. How's John Reed looking in year 2? We were just talking about Justin Reed, the safety, but there's a second-year cornerback, John Reed, out of Penn State, and he's fighting. He's fighting for his job. Last year, he came in and was very, very impressive in training camp. The coaches raved about him, and then he didn't play all that much during the regular season. Not sure why, but he's having to fight for his job like the rest of these guys. He's in a competition, and we'll see how it goes, Halston.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see what happens with last year's rookies if they make that jump from year 1 to year 2. We've seen flashes of it in camp, some good plays, some bad plays, but what happens when they put it in game time action and in the preseason? I think all these players are going to get to see some reps during preseason games, and I think that's really going to be the true test. We saw a shot of the defensive lineman a little while ago, and Aiden wants to know, how is Shaq Lawson doing? Shaq Lawson is out there. He's number 93. It's a very crowded D-line group and a very talented one at that because a lot of veterans from other teams. Shaq Lawson in Buffalo with Coach Culley. They've had their relationship together there. They bring it down to Houston. A lot of familiarity with the head coach and the head coach with Lawson as well. So we've got number 93 out there. There he is warming up. Alongside number 94, Charles Amenahu, and there's Malik Collins, there's Vincent Taylor. That D-line group, I think Drew is one of the groups to be most excited about.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Malik Collins, I didn't know a whole heck of a lot about him before he got here, but one thing I've noticed after each practice, there's always another defensive lineman each day working with him on extra drills, and it's kind of like he's somebody that they kind of lean on and go to pick things up. So going to be cool to see what he does, A, for the Texans, B, what sort of impact you hear about him having on some of these other guys on the team this year. But yeah, he's somebody that the Texans are going to look to get some help up front from, as you see 85 tight end Pharaoh Brown running off with the offense. Pharaoh Brown's another guy that's been a big target in the red zone. That guy can play. He's a load to bring down. We talked many times so far this training camp about how tough Pharaoh Brown is to tackle. So yeah, Pharaoh Brown, keep your eyes on him, friends.
You forget that he didn't even practice for the first few days of camp because he just sort of came out of guns blazing. Saturday night he caught a touchdown pass really early in practice. Seems like he's always making plays in the
He's
end zone.
enormous. I mean,
he's huge.
It looks like his shoulder wingspan is like 19 feet. It's like he's a yacht from side to side. I mean, he's just an enormous guy. So you get that big catch radius. I mean, it's a quarterback's good friend when you're down there that close. You can zip it in there, and there's a good chance he's going to come up with it.
All right, AJ's got an interesting question. After Saturday night, do you think Howard should stay at right tackle? AJ, this is one question that I've really gone back and forth on throughout camp, because if you would have asked me last week, I would have said, yes, he's going to stay at right tackle. But after hearing and seeing him out at camp and hearing what David Culley has to say, I can't say that I'm 100% sure that he's going to stay at right tackle. I know they want to keep the best 5 offensive linemen on the field. We see Howard taking a lot of rotations on the interior part of that offensive line, left guard, at right guard, obviously right tackle as well. But I don't think that right tackle position is necessarily his. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a starter on the offensive line, but maybe they are trying to get in a different tackle at that spot. I don't know, a Charlie Heck or maybe another player. I don't really know, but I don't think you can say for certain that Titus Howard will be right tackle.
Yeah, it's been mildly surprising to see Charlie Heck out there and getting meaningful snaps at right tackle. I think ultimately you're going to see him, Titus Howard, in the starting rotation as an offensive lineman. I think he starts. I do think he probably winds up being your starting right tackle.
And maybe he will, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure, stranger things have happened, but yeah, I think Howard's going to be your guy at right tackle. So it's a good question. It's a fair question to ask. But
I think what the safe thing to say is I'm not as certain as I was, because you know what, you think sometimes, but I think it's a competition at every position as we head into week 1 of the preseason against Green Bay. More to look for this week. We're going to bring you Training Camp Live every single day, but we're going to wrap it up for today. Texans Training Camp Live is presented by Xfinity. A lot of people work on this show to make it possible, so I want to thank all of them. Caroline Jordan, Anab Leibowitz, Amanda Caffey, Alex Lozano, Jay McDevitt, Mitchell Moreland, Drew Doherty, and myself on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much for watching. Check out HoustonTexans.com after practice for all the latest and the press conferences. And as always, go Texans.